All right, welcome. Today we are going to dive into one of the most powerful books on personal change out there, James Clear's Atomic Habits. We're going to break down his super simple but honestly game-changing system for getting incredible results. So let's start with something I think we all know a little too well. You set this huge, exciting goal, right? Maybe it's a New Year's resolution or just a big life change you're fired up about. And for a few weeks, maybe even a month, you're all in. But then, poof, the motivation just fizzles out. So what gives? Why is that so common? Well, James Clear has an answer that might surprise you. He says, and this is so key, you do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Think about that. The problem isn't you. It's not that your goals are bad. The problem is the system, or lack thereof. This is really the heart of the whole book. Success isn't about daydreaming about the end result. It's about building a rock-solid system that just works. Day in, day out. Okay, so here's what we're going to cover. We'll kick things off with the power of tiny improvements, then get into the 4 laws for building and breaking habits. We'll talk about how habits shape your identity, why your environment is so important, and then we'll pull it all together at the end. Let's do it. All right, first up, the power of small improvements. And really, this is the foundation for everything else we're going to talk about. We have this idea that to get big results, we need to make some huge, dramatic change, right? But what James Clear shows us is that it's actually the opposite. The real magic is in the tiny, almost invisible changes you make day after day. And it all comes down to this one little number, 1%. Just think about it. Getting 1% better at something every single day. I mean, that feels like nothing, doesn't it? It's so small you'd barely even notice you did it. But trust me, this is where the real magic is. Because that tiny choice, getting just a tiny bit better or a tiny bit worse, sets you on one of 2 completely different trajectories. For the first few days or even weeks, you can't tell the difference. The lines are right next to each other. But over a full year, whoa, that's when the power of compounding kicks in and those paths end up miles apart.
And the result is, honestly, it's just staggering. Get this. If you improve by just 1% every day for a year, you end up 37 times better. Not 37% better, 37 times better. That's because these small habits don't just add up, they multiply. They compound on each other, creating this incredible upward explosion of growth. That is the power of an atomic habit.
Okay, so that sounds great, but how do we actually do it? How do we put that compounding power to work for us? Well, Clear gives us this incredibly simple, easy-to-remember framework he calls the 4 laws of habit building. You can basically think of it as the instruction manual for your own brain. Law number 1 is make it obvious. See, our habits aren't just random. They're almost always triggered by something in our environment. A cue. You see the cookie jar on the counter. You want a cookie. Your phone buzzes, you pick it up. So if you want to build a good habit, you have to make the trigger for it totally, completely obvious. Impossible to miss. And here are 2 amazing ways to do that. First is what he calls an implementation intention. It's about being super specific. So instead of just saying, I'm going to meditate more, you say, I will meditate for 1 minute at 7 a.m. in my living room. See the difference? Even better is habit stacking. This is where you piggyback a new habit onto one you already have. Like, after I pour my morning coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute. It's brilliant. Next up, law number 2, make it attractive. Let's face it. We're way more likely to do something if it seems fun or appealing. Our brains are wired to chase rewards. So the trick here is to link the habit you should be doing with something you actually want to be doing. A fantastic way to do this is called temptation bundling. It's pretty simple. You pair an action you want to do with an action you need to do. For example, maybe you only let yourself watch your favorite show while you're on the treadmill. Another huge one, join a group or a community where the habit you want is just what they do. We are social creatures. We want to fit in, so this makes it way easier. All right, law number 3 is absolutely critical. Make it easy. Look, our brains are fundamentally lazy. They're designed to conserve energy, so we will always drift toward the easiest option. So if you want a habit to stick, you have to make it as effortless as possible. You got to remove the friction. So how do you do that? Well, one way is to just prep ahead of time. Lay out your workout clothes the night before. But my favorite and maybe the most powerful tool in the whole book is the 2-minute rule. The idea is to scale any new habit down until it takes less than 2 minutes to do. So read a book becomes read 1 page. Do yoga becomes take out my yoga mat. The point isn't to get results right away. It's to master the skill of just starting. And that brings us to the final law. Number 4, make it satisfying. Here's the deal. If a behavior isn't rewarding, your brain has no reason to repeat it. It needs that little hit of dopamine, that little feeling of, hey, that was good. The problem with most good habits, like saving money or eating healthy, is that the reward is way, way down the road. So we have to find a way to feel good right now. Okay, so we've covered how to build good habits, but what about getting rid of the bad ones? That's the other half of the equation, right? Well, the beauty of this whole system is you don't need to learn anything new. You just take those same 4 laws and you invert them. You just flip them upside down. It works like this. Instead of making it obvious, you make it invisible. Put the cookies on the highest shelf. Instead of making it attractive, make it unattractive. Remind yourself of the downsides of smoking. Instead of making it easy, make it difficult. Add friction. Unplug the TV and put the remote in another room. And finally, instead of making it satisfying, you make it unsatisfying. Maybe you have an accountability partner you have to pay every time you skip a workout. Now, we're going to shift gears a bit to what is, for me, the most profound idea in this entire book. Because real lasting change isn't just about what you do. It's about who you are. It's about your identity. The ultimate goal isn't just to run a race. It's to become a runner. Just look at this shift in thinking right here. It seems small, but it's everything. A goal is, I want to read more books. An identity is, I am a reader. See that? When your actions are tied to your identity, you're not just trying to achieve something, you're simply being who you are. The behavior just flows naturally from that belief. And how do you build that identity? Well, you don't just wake up and decide. You earn it, vote by vote. Every single action you take is like casting a vote for the person you want to be. Go to the gym? That's a vote for, I am a healthy person. Write one page? That's a vote for, I am a writer. Over time, these votes add up and become powerful evidence of who you truly are. This connects perfectly to our next big idea. Stop trying to fight your environment and start designing it instead. We love to think that willpower is everything, but it's a limited resource. Your environment, the space around you, is way more powerful in the long run. It's constantly nudging you in one direction or another. The smart move is to make sure it's nudging you in the right direction. And the best part is, this doesn't have to be complicated at all. You're basically becoming the architect of your future choices. You want to read more? Easy. Put a book on your pillow. You can't miss it. Want to snack healthier? Don't hide the fruit in a drawer. Put a big bowl of it right on the kitchen counter. You're just making the good habits the easy, obvious choice. Phew, okay, we have covered a ton of ground here. So let's boil this all down into a quick, practical summary. Think of this as your personal toolkit to take away from all this. So, what are the big takeaways? Number 1, start ridiculously small. That 1% makes all the difference. 2, stop obsessing about goals and focus on building a good system. 3, remember, the real goal is to change your identity. 4, be an architect. Design your environment for success. And last but not least, remember that this is a lifestyle. It's about continuous, never-ending improvement. And that really brings us to this final thought, which I think sums it all up beautifully. Habits are not a finish line to be crossed. They are a lifestyle to be lived. Ultimately, this isn't about reaching some specific goal and then stopping. It's about building a system of tiny, daily actions that gives you something so much better than a trophy, the freedom to truly become the person you want to be.